Hey, what's going on? My name is Kavanaugh, aka the Porn Rap Star, host of the hot podcast known as Smoke This Over. You trying to start a podcast? You love talking, but you ain't got all the stuff. All you got is a phone. Well, go to your Google store, whatever you got, and download Anchor. And I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. Download Anchor today. In older times, when the chieftain of our people summoned the clan, an errand of life and death, the fiery cross extinguished, and the sacrifice of blood was sent by a swift carrier from village to village. This call never made in vain, nor will it be tonight in the new world, here on this spot, made holy ground by the blood of those we hold dear than life. I raise the ancient symbol of an unconquered race of man. This is an excerpt from The Klansman, historical romance of the Ku Klux Klan from 1905. Now, this explained the reason why they burned the cross. It is a tradition which they said was carried from olden days. When they came to a call for arms, they burned the cross to let other villagers know, and they ran across the land with that burning cross to let them know, call to arms. Some blood gonna be spilled. And it's interesting that it's a cross, the very symbol of the Christian faith. Don't you find that interesting? Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Smokers Lounge. And I am your host, Kavanaugh, the Porn Rap Star. And as you can tell, Porn Rap Star. I'm a rapper, I do porn. You want to hear my music? My latest singles that I've been dropping lately. Or you want to see my latest updates in my adult film, go to allmylinks.com/pornrapstar to see everything that you need to see when it comes to me. Even follow me on social media. And this podcast is hosted by Anchor, the perfect app for any new podcaster to start their podcast career. All you need is a phone and time. All you got to do is go to your app on your phone, download Anchor, and get started today. Okay? So, and of course, check out the Smoke This Over podcast. Right now, episode 13 is running with a huge interview with the lovely Bonnie Blaze. The full uncut interview is on Patreon, and you got to pay for that because that's some salacious stuff in that interview. But today, I'm going to give y'all a correlation that y'all never thought about. I sat back and said, what can be a subject that I can discuss that has never been discussed? I never heard anybody ever talk about it, what have you. And then I started to think, religion, white privilege. From the stuff that I know of history, all the way up to now. The excerpt that I just read from you from that book with the Klansman. This episode here now, if it runs, well, if I go too long, I see it probably be a part 2. I'm just giving you a heads up. It might not be. It depends. Because sometimes I think that I can go all day and then I got to catch myself. And sometimes, I think it's going to be longer than what I think it is. And next thing you know, I end up just going 30 minutes. I'm like, well, damn, man. I thought I was going to talk more about it. But white privilege, we always talked about white privilege. White privilege has been a part of America like that apple pie. White privilege also fueled racism, Ku Klux Klan. We had a conversation on a couple of shows earlier about the Reconstruction era. And the feeling of why white people didn't want to see black people prosper. Well, I'm about to go real deep. because religion plays a huge part in this. Now, I know some of you Christians, Bible thumpers, excuse me, is going to listen to this show, going to be like, the fuck you talking about? Y'all probably going to throw the Bible at me. Who knows? I might even get some some emails off this shit with this shit. And I should be hopefully off of Facebook jail to where I can actually post this thing. And I might even post it on YouTube because I think this is an interesting topic. So, the interesting part about all this is white people always had an air about them that they always felt that they were better. I was watching this great series, which is on HBO Max, which comes on Cinemax, called Warriors, which was about the early 1900s, San Francisco, the Chinese coming over, Chinatown being established in San Francisco, and you have the white cops, and you see the interaction of the white people and the Chinese. You see the interaction of the Tongs, which is their version of the mafia, as well as the police and the what you call them politicians. And they talked about the yellow scourge. Sound familiar, don't it? When it comes to black people, it seemed like whatever, if you ain't white, you ain't right. They're gonna marginalize you. They're gonna make you look evil. They're gonna do everything to keep you in your place, per se. But did they just develop this when they came to America? No. And how does religion play a part in this? Well, I'm about to give it to you. We're going to go back, and it's going to be further than what I did when it came to classes to racism. We're going to go further back than Bartholomew de Casa. We're going to go back to Charlemagne. And I'm not saying Charlemagne the God, motherfuckers. We ain't talking about the Breakfast Club. He ain't that old. We talk about Charlemagne, the king of the Franks, the man that unified all of Europe in the early Middle Ages. I know some of y'all heard of it, the Holy Roman Empire. That's where all this begins. I know a lot of y'all like, what the fuck? Play with me. Light your blunt. Pour yourself some yak. Because this is about to get real deep. Charlemagne adopted the Christian faith when he won a battle after putting crosses on his shields and his flag and adopting the cross as the symbol for his nation. Now, as we know, the cross is the thing where Christ was crucified. We also know that Christianity is the belief in Christ. Actually, Christianity didn't get its modern feel until it came to Europe. Let's make that clear. So Charlemagne takes over. And one of the things Charlemagne did was made the point that the church was in power. The church handled education. The church handled everything, every walk of life. He even made his laws based off of church. Now, mind you, church, state supposed to be separate. Not back then, but supposed to be now. We still, to this day, like him, build our laws and our laws off of religious beliefs. Come on now. We had to put an amendment for abortion. There was nothing in the Bible suggesting that abortion was ever illegal or a sin or immoral. Actually, they didn't even know what abortion was, and they probably didn't do it back then. Let's be honest, that was technology. But I digress. Back to my point. One of the things that he wanted to do was he wanted to spread Christianity throughout his empire. Prisoners and slaves, no matter what country they from or region, had to conform to the Christianity faith. They had to become Christians. He sent the different priests out amongst the people to convert them to Christianity, meaning that you could not worship shit else. Because to them, Christianity was the best faith. Christianity was the only faith. Your religion didn't mean shit. Your God don't mean shit. It's only about our God. Sound familiar? I shall continue. He made the point to push this. This is where the slave got the Christian name from. Charlemagne was already doing this during his empire. So slavery, as we know it, was already being somewhat implemented with Charlemagne because he was forcing his religious belief on them. Mind you, what color was Charlemagne? White. Where did he rule? Eastern and Western Europe. White. Come again? You feel me? Now you're getting it. Now it's starting to formulate in your head right now, like, wait a second, okay, I see where he's coming from. All right, now, with that being said, when you hear the white supremacists, they say the motherland. They say, this is our land. We are ordained. We are God's children, blah, 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 blah. All the stuff that white supremacists love to say and spout to basically justify the bullshit that they talk about. Okay? I'm going to tell you where this came from. Now, if you notice, most white supremacists, they are hard Christians. They are strong Christians. You know, some of the militias, many of them are Christians. They go to church. Believe that. Because they always talk about God. If you notice, your Republicans, the far right, what is it? God? God and country, right? All right. Now, Charlemagne made a point to where the church was very powerful. This lasted even to the point, which is interesting. Guess where his capital was? It was in Rome. Holy Roman Empire. Guess where the Vatican is? Rome. I digress. We sit here and we talk about Israel, but the Christian faith that we know it and where it came from, where it originated, from the Catholics, from Martin Luther doing his rebellion, all this took place in Rome, not in Jerusalem. Let's make that clear. Jerusalem, the Holy Land, but the holiest of holies is in Rome. That's because of Charlemagne. Because Christianity spread throughout Europe, and Christians felt that they had the best religion. Christians felt that their religion was king. They felt that everybody else was savages. And it made them have an air about themselves that made themselves feel better than the rest of the world. Thus, why they spreaded their wings and spread it to other countries. Now, how is it that blacks and Asians and all that, why they are so disliked by whites, by white supremacists, right? Remember I said religion had a lot to do with white privilege. I'm going to get back to Europe in a second. In the Bible, we all know about Noah, right? Noah had 3 sons. He had Japheth, Shem, and Ham. Now, in the Bible, technically, in the Bible, if you go off the Bible, our descendant, our ancestor is Ham. Now, I'm going to tell you what's funny where white people gloss over this. We all come from Noah, from what the Bible states, including Moses. We all come from Noah. We all are descendants of Enoch. So here's the interesting part about that. But yet, they hate us so bad, but yet we're brothers. They discriminate us so bad, but yet we're brothers. But let me explain to you the reason why. Because, see, the white supremacists, they love the Bible so much. Let me break it down to you. We come from Ham. Ham is actually supposed to be our ancestor. Ham was the brother that supposedly raped Noah, or what they said did an indecent act. He saw his dad naked. Shem was the favored one. Now, what's interesting, Shem is the father of the Israelites, but the white people don't want you to know that. But which eventually became the Hebrews, the Hebrews eventually became the Israelites. Eventually, you get the gist. So we are the children of Ham. Ham was cursed. He said Noah cursed him and the people that would be his descendants, which were the Canaanites and people from Africa and from Asia. So his descendants was Asians and blacks. And he's the cursed brother. So inherently, the world, like my man, Mr. Nancy said, look at us as evil. Because our ancestor biblically is cursed because he did something dirty to his daddy. That's why they say it's our land. Because they feel that they came from one of the other brothers. Now, who they came from was Jessup. But that's another story for another day, because he the one that went to Europe. Shem, he went to the Middle East. So I digress. But the attitude that this white supremacist as well as white privilege got is actually from Charlemagne. Once again, not the God. See, I said I'm going to come back to it. As they spread their wings, what they did was they used religion to pillage, to get safe passage, for trade. They used religion to get access to these other lands and foreign lands. They looked down upon the people of that land because they were not Christians. And they made a point to try to turn these people Christians, even though these people had their own religion, their own belief system, their own civilization. But because they wasn't Christians, because they wasn't from Europe, we're better than you and you know it. Shouts out to MJF. How do we know this? Because back to Bartholomew, he would have never made the suggestions about Africans becoming slaves if they looked at us as people, if they looked at us as equal. Because we wasn't Christian when they stepped on the African continent. They savages. They savages. Watch all the shit where Christians went against somebody. Christians versus the Vikings. They're barbarians. They're savages. The Japanese, they're savages. The Indians, they're savages. But because we're Christians, we're civilized. Even though they had the most war and the most bloodiest wars out of all the continents. They just keep it real. The 100-Year War. Do I need to mention the Crusades? Let me say this again. No Israelites came to Egypt. No Israelites came to England. Wrong brother. Jeez. White people. But, so they feel better. And because they were already taught to push religion, they use religion to justify the shit that they do. When it came to let's say the Native Americans, the Aztecians, the Indians from India, it's always they felt they were better. We're bringing Christianity to your world. Fuck your religion. So what, you Hindu? Hindus. Jesus. Yeah. Like we didn't know what God was. Bible even said God has many names. But I guess God couldn't be Hindu. I guess God couldn't be Allah. God couldn't be Osiris. God couldn't have been Zeus. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying. Seem like the Christian faith is similar to that of all other mythology in the world. You have lesser gods, you have angels. You have the Father God, you have God. Or in the case of Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah. Actually, that's his name, because it said it in the Bible. But you hear these preachers say that's his old name. But that's another conversation for another day. But anyway, so what this means, let's go back to the Bible again. Let's go to now, not only do they use the fact that Ham was supposed to be in service, because actually in the Bible it said that Ham and his children will be in the service of Shem. Once again, Shem is not the father of them, but in their minds, they're using that to justify why Africans could be slaves. So the real reason why Africans became slaves because of a business decision, but then they wanted to justify it by using the Bible. Ain't that interesting? But the one verse that slave owners use to justify slavery and to convince slaves, you need a slave name, you need to obey this and third, was from Ephesians 5. Servants, be obedient to them. They are masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart unto Christ, not with eye service as a man pleasures, but as a servant of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart with God will, doing service as to the Lord and unto men, knowing whomever good things any man doeth, the same shall he receive of the Lord, whether it be bond or free. They use this verse to tell slaves, well, it's in the Bible that you're supposed to be slaves, and it's godly for y'all to be good slaves. So their thought process was to bring us over here, give us Christian names, because the whole purpose was not only did we take you from Africa, we're going to make you take our religion. We're going to make you convert whether you like it or not. And then we're going to brainwash you to thinking that this is what God wants, the God that we're making you have to worship. What race was the masters? White. There's your white privilege. There's your white privilege. If you notice, they didn't want slaves to read the Bible. Why? Because they did not want them to read Moses. Because one, they would have noticed that Moses freed slaves. It would have gave them inspiration. It would have gave them knowledge. It's just like the record business. Keep them dumb. We can make money. We can make money off some. See, that's the whole point of why they feel that they're better than us. Why white supremacists fight the way that they fight? Because in their mind, they're doing God's work. This is how God wanted it to be. Because this is what's been preached to them. Not from the time that the United States was formed. No, motherfucker. This was preached way back in the Middle Ages. See, it's funny that a lot of, like I said, of your racist, supremacists, white people, they use the Bible a lot. I mean, don't get it twisted. Many people use the Bible for profit, for ill-gotten gains and dirty shit. But they use the Bible to enslave people. And this not only went to just black people, this is how they felt about Hispanics. This is how they felt about the the Oriental, the Asians, Japanese, Chinese, what have you. This was fueled it. My God told me that I need to conquer all y'all and make y'all come to God. Y'all supposed to be lower than us. Now, how does this correlate to slavery? Now, you got preachers preaching this for generations. You have slave owners preaching this to slaves over and over again. To some slaves, like the Harriet Tubmans or what have you, fuck you, I ain't hearing that shit. But there were slaves that was hearing it. They was listening to it. They think they were doing God's work. Nat Turner, in the movie Nat Turner, he baptized a white dude. Now understand, he was made a preacher. He baptized a white dude, but he got his ass beat for doing it. And he even tried to quote verse the Bible, basically saying that a slave should never feel that they're the level of a master. Meaning that if you're a preacher, because you're a slave, you're not bigger than the preacher, that white man. See, racism, classism, all this evolves into this. All these are concepts that the white man actually made and pushed it upon other races and other civilizations and other countries. Smoke that over. Now, that brings us to the Reconstruction era. Now, part of the resentment of the white people during this time was fueled by these things. One, by the birth of a nation. The birth of a nation was based off a book, the Klansman book. And what happened was this movie came out after the slaves was free. The video depicted black congressmen. Let's make this clear. Congressmen, not just black people, black politicians, black police officers raping women, and how these white men in white cloaks that look like crusaders with a cross on their chest saved the day and lynched the black man, and they burnt a cross. And they quoted the Bible. See? Now, let's get acquainted. They said, let's break it down, shall we? We want to break it down. In older times, when the chieftain of our people was summoned, the clan in the era of life and death. Chieftain, that means they were in tribes. That means they were nomads. They was in a clan. Understand, in Europe, everybody was made to be Christians. That means even clans, even independent sections had to become Christians or die. Key word, die. Where do you think the Inquisition came from? You was a heretic if you didn't believe the Catholic Church. Trust me, there's no scripture in the Bible, which I'm going to do an episode on that. The Bible and homosexuality. Yeah, we going to go there. See, I'm going to be like other podcasts, black podcasts, they want to talk about everything else. No, I'm going to talk about some real shit. We about to get deep. Because of this movie, it inspired white people, especially the Klan, former Confederate sympathizers in the whole nine. Why? Because it goes back to Ephesians. You should serve your master. In their minds, they still were the masters. The slaves were the slaves. I'm seeing slaves who I owned now becoming politicians, becoming rich, becoming landowners. I have to pay them. They are becoming masters. Masters don't want to give up that mantle. I told you, in order to get respect to the ones that conquered you, you have to either conquer them or get to their level. They didn't want neither one. Look at the whole point. Why black people? That's the biggest question. Why black people? Well, simple. The Confederates blamed the slaves for the war. If it wasn't for them goddamn niggas, we wouldn't have been fighting. I still have my goddamn plantation. Because black people didn't want to stay slaves. They actually wanted to motherfucker escape. Slaves had no rights. That's why they were able to make the laws they were able to make to come up north to grab slaves. And even after we was freed, we still didn't have no rights. Let's make that clear. See, everybody gloss over that shit. We had no rights. We was running because they didn't bother us until they saw we were winning and we was voting and we was prospering. And some of them was not. And because they feel that they are the chosen people, because their race just so happened to come from Charlemagne, their religion comes from Charlemagne, who decided to make the whole Europe be Christian, and because they feel their God is better than everyone else's and their way is better than everyone else's, they felt some type of way when black people started to prosper. Think about it. Why did they wear white hoods with the white crosses? Crusades. That's why they quote the Bible. Because in their mind, God made them the chosen people. Not Shem's family. Because it's funny when people get mad and said that black people were the first Hebrews. No, we're not the first Hebrews. There was no Hebrews. We're just from the family tree. They are cousins. I'm just saying. It was three brothers. Not one of them said he was a Hebrew. Not one said he was black. Not one said he was white. Actually, they didn't even know what the fuck color was. But man, throughout the years, decided to make color. See, white people understood the power of religion even back then. And they kept it going now. We shape our laws based off religion. The Abortion Right Act. Think about this. Why did they outlaw abortions before they, made them legal? There's nowhere in the Bible that states that thou shalt not kill an unborn fetus. They didn't even know what a fucking fetus was. There was no abortion made off of what? Religion. The Constitution. Religion. Logic, yeah, but religion for the most part. Our laws, religion. I'm talking about even some of the Republican agenda is based off religion. Why the fuck you think Republicans have the most following when it comes to the evangelicals, and church people? Why the way you think some of them black preachers love Trump so damn much? Why? See, understand, they have used the Bible they use Christianity to take over the world, at the same token to victimize cultures and explain it off as we were doing our job because it was God. God told us to. But yet in the Bible, God preaches love, but these people come through and burn hate. So the Ku Klux Klan, their whole point of why they did what they did is because they feel, because of Bible verses and for what they've been taught since the days of Charlemagne, that they are the chosen people. They are the master race. Keyword, master race. Even Hitler was using Bible shit. Master race. It's funny how people take religion and Bible verses and use it to their advantage to cripple people. You see the correlation of what I mean by that? Whenever you hear them saying, we want our country back, because they feel this is God's country and God gave them to them. That many of those religions was persecuted over in Europe, and they felt that, well, God told us this is be our land. God told us that y'all Africans, y'all Negroes, is going to be our slaves. God told that we going to take all these goddamn savage Indians, we going to take all their goddamn land and leave them with just enough so they can have a motherfucking, have their own little city and a casino where you can't even drink a goddamn beer. Yeah. See, what they did was simple. How do they use, now a lot of people say, okay, wait a second, Bob, how do they use religion? Okay, break it down to us. How did religion, they get into the country? Simple. One thing I know is about the Chinese, the Japanese, the Africans, the Indians, they respect other religions. They respect other holy people. So they see a priest, Pedro, a father, or what have you, he's coming and he got the cross. They're going to give him passage. And let me tell you what it was. Simple. They go back and they tell the Pope, tell the king, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Send their army over there. Next thing you know, in the next decade, they done colonize the bitch. Because you notice, the first one to go over there is the ambassador, a.k.a. the preacher. He's the first one on the soil. He eases the tension. He slides in. He gets it good with the king. He gets it good with that priest. And next thing you know, he goes back across the bridge. Yeah, man, they right for the picking, bro. All you got to do, the Chinese, you just got to give them some opium. Africans, man, nigga, we just got to give them, give them some lead. You know what I'm saying? That's all we got to do. Give them some white pussy. They good. Because they ain't never had that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm just letting you know. Bless you. Think about it. Think about it. See, the whole attitude and I don't know the actual term or what was the actual the language. I remember. I used to remember when I was younger, where it was an actual statement that they used to say that, yeah, we're better than you, we're the best, and the attitude didn't die when it went across the pond, the big pond. No, motherfucker, it grew. Understand, the Constitution was made by every last one was Christian, rich landowners. Who still, as much as they would sit here want to say that, well, the slaves deserve to be free, and this, that, third, because in the Bible they say slaves should be free. But that attitude, that hearing in their ear, that Bible verse. Somebody had to say, you know something, we need to use this Bible verse right here, say it to them goddamn Africans, and they're going to believe the shit. I'm telling you. Say that Bible right there too, God. You know they're religious, because they do that hooju-wooju over there. And I am telling you, that's what they probably did. Exactly. That's exactly what they did right there. I mean, really, I would love to know the motherfucker they said, you know, let's use that Bible verse. I mean, because that is interesting that you actually preach that shit to a whole group. You made other black slaves become preachers to preach that shit to other black slaves and generations of black slaves after that so they can stay in line. Because y'all having too lazy to go pick the cotton your motherfucking self. We fought wars with you. We prayed to the same God as you, but we couldn't get the same freedom as you. And sure how dumb they is, they didn't even give themselves freedom because they never said everybody. That's why there are amendments, people. They didn't say everybody. So that's why I said, understand this. Religion actually caused white privilege because it made white people feel better. It was already systematically placed in, because the point being is that because they're the conquering race, they made it to where no matter what, that race is going to still be on top. Whether it's the government, whether it's schooling, whether it's banking or what have you, certain people will get knowledge. This is something that they've been doing well into the Middle Ages. Think about this. What if the Africans did what the Europeans did and we ended up motherfucking spreading the wealth around the world and colonizing? We colonized England. There was a movie that came out that was like that. I'm talking about it was the after effects, but where black people was in white people place. Yeah, Sidney Poitier and John Travolta, and he was real stressed out. I ain't gonna front. It was funny to watch. I enjoyed it. That shit should have won an Oscar. You feel me? You see, that show you how powerful religion is. Think about it. The Trumpers, you see images of Jesus, the whole nine. They consider themselves God-fearing people. The white supremacists consider themselves God-fearing people. So everything they do, they feel that it's their religious right and duty to do what they do and to feel how they feel. Because this has been implanted into them from the Middle Ages. Because remember, Europe was the one that was expanding. There was no other country that was expanding like that. Not globally. Japan barely they couldn't even get over to China. It took them a while to get past Korea. Yeah, I need to check out that Age of the Samurai. There's some good shit on Netflix, I'm telling you. Because see, now you see the correlation. I hope that y'all enjoyed this journey. I hope y'all really enjoyed the journey that I took y'all on. To show the correlation of how religion was used to give them white privilege. Because not only did they conquer the land, they forced people to go by their rules. And they've continued to force people to go by their rules. And their rules are only going to benefit those who is with the conquering race. Now, can it be changed? Yes. It's going to take generations. Probably take some race mixing. And people in the government that is willing to make laws that will protect us. Because see, also goes back to the religion, because we was looked at as slaves. Because the Bible, and they lived by that Bible that heavy, and because they feel that we was less than and that we were not godly, we were not of God, why should we give them any protection? They treated us like animals. They took everything away. It's like, even when I was reading about the birth of the nation, what's crazy is it went really, the heart of it took place in South Carolina. And it was because they legalized interracial marriage. That's why they made this movie. They didn't want to mix with the children of Ham, because Ham was cursed. So they look at us as cursed, which goes back to inherently white people looked as good, we're looked at as bad. Because supposedly in religious terms, funny how the black man came from the man that was cursed. Don't you find that interesting? You trying to say we're a cursed species. We supposed to be fucked up. Now they're basically saying to us, y'all supposed to be fucked up. Look who y'all daddy is, nigga. Ham. That motherfucker was sucking goddamn no dick out this bitch. He fucked his daddy, nigga. He a freak. Then what, we can't fuck with y'all. You hamsters. Yeah. That's why they treat us the way we are. Because just so happened our lineage supposedly came from him. Once again, religion versus facts. Facts. No fucking way that Ham could have made that many kids. But I digress. And then the real reason is, was that really the Bible verse? Or even more so, why was we associated with it? And why was that one little bit of piece of the Bible was so pertinent to a whole multi-hundred years thing of persecution of black people? Charlemagne, the king of the Franks. It began with him. And now we have brought it full circle. There you go. I'm going to let y'all sit back and smoke on that. Now I use a couple of sources. I use Wikipedia. I Googled, looked up some stuff. Like I said, I felt this was something that I wanted to talk about because it hit me in the head, and I said, didn't think of it that way. That's the whole purpose of the Smokers Lounge. I don't want to be that podcast to just talk about the same shit that everybody else talk about. I want to talk about some shit that's going to make you think. I'm going to talk about some shit that's going to make your ass go back to work at the water cooler and say, yo, peep this shit, yo. Yo, I didn't realize how much religion played a part in slavery and where we at today. Think about it. The Catholic Church was the strongest church, the only church. They had the most power. Says it. Facts. Facts. That Vatican has been the home of all of Catholic. And understand this. I'm going to say this again. There was no Christianity. It was Catholic. They just practiced. And I ain't even going to front. What is Christianity? It said the teachings of Christ. But all the rituals that we do, it never said in the Bible that we should do them. Actually, the ritual that was done in the Bible was done for a freaking purpose. For that moment. I guess you paying homage to God. I get that, hey, me, myself, I tell everybody, I'm not a Christian. I'm a spiritual. I believe in God. I believe Jesus is the Son of God. But I don't believe everything that I was taught. And then I don't believe everything that's in the Bible or look at it as the way that everybody else. I look at it more of a critical, logical eye. Because how can I go off of something that was told and taught to my people by people who conquered them and forced them to have to take that? They changed our name because our names to them was evil and devil. Smoke that over. Life is a learning experience. What's the point of the experience if you didn't learn anything? I hope I left y'all with something to think about.